In today's video, we bump knuckles,
Oh,
I try my hand at surveying,
it's like that deep.
and Johnny has an epiphany.
Oh, because I'm stupid.
Okay, here we go. Oh man, it's gonna be hot. Morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 10 of Enduro Radio. Today, we are at another Jeep trail. Up in Little Naches here, riding trail 676, which is the Cater Flat Trail. And you can get here by Forest Service Road 1903, which is right off 1900, about, I don't know, 3 or 4 miles up. Pretty easy to get to. And we're riding to Manastash Lake today. Going up and over Manastash Ridge and linking up with some single track, but you could do the whole thing by a single track to get to that particular destination, but this way's actually a little bit more fun and a little bit quicker. So here we go. Okay. Off we go again after a directly immediate intermission because someone, I won't say who, didn't put the exhaust back on my bike correctly. I'll give you a hint, it was me. So, off we go. We're gonna kind of just plug along today. Nothing uber crazy. Just kind of wanted to come out here and have a fun day. It's supposed to be kind of hot today, upwards of 90 degrees, so we're not exactly gonna set any records or drive the heroes, that's for sure. But it was kind of important for me to come out today because I stumbled upon a very interesting topic about the middle of last week. And I was thinking, man, this kind of really ties into what we do, directly. As far as the psychology of athletes and, sports in general and motorsports and kind of how people go about their business when doing those things, and actually the neurochemical and psychological effects that those things have on the human brain was really interesting to read about, come to find out. So I dug in a little deeper and I learned some extremely interesting things, one of which is the fact that essentially you and I and all other dirt bikers, aside from our subtle differences, when it comes to a neurological level, turns out we're all the same. We kind of go through the same mental processes and, run through the same type of stuff for the most part. Granted, there are outliers and everything, but it was pretty darn close when I started thinking about it and I started asking other guys, their thoughts on it. They were, yeah, absolutely, every time. And I was kind of blown away by it. The first one that I thought was really interesting was a dynamic called Transient Hypo-Frontality. Say it with me now. Transient Hypo-Frontality. It is the effect more commonly referred to as the zone. You get into your zone or your groove and everything starts clicking. You're not really thinking about anything per se. You're just kind of getting it done. And basically what it boils down to, what's actually happening in your brain when that kind of force takes over, is your prefrontal cortex, the absolute conscious decision-making part of your brain, stops taking over essentially, and the subconscious part of your brain takes over. which is, you know, this is a little simplistic example, of course, but take me riding this motorcycle right now, for example. I'm not consciously thinking, okay, turn left, turn right, shift body weight, grab clutch, grab throttle, shift gears, rear brake, front brake, you know. It's not something that's going through my head. You know, that's become second nature to me, obviously, so it happens naturally because, you know, I've been riding for 31 years, but that's, you know, not the point I'm trying to get at. That happens to everybody over time with anything you do semi-consistently. But the zone itself, I've experienced to the nth degree, especially back in my racing days, when your brain would become so overloaded that adrenaline would kick in, and then the front part of your brain would just kind of shut down. And the important part of your brain, the more accurate one, the safer one, your subconscious, would take over. And when that would happen, wonderful things would occur. You would go really fast. A whole race would go by with you barely realizing it. You would have very, very few conscious thoughts during that time. And it was awesome. The thing about the zone, or transient hypo-frontality, the minute you realize and consciously think, oh man, I'm in the zone, it kind of brings you out of the zone because now you're consciously thinking about something. And last weekend when we were riding, I had that same effect. I was like, man, I'm really in the zone, and oh shit, I'm out of it. Now I'm thinking about stuff I'm doing or stuff I need to be doing, or thinking, oh man, look out for that rock, look out for this rock, or you know, what have you. So it's really you know, based on a clear mind. Oh, look who decided to join us, Mr. John Gessner. Hey buddy. Oh, he's such a polite kid. I mean, you know, he's a shit sandwich, he's just not a soggy one. That kid's really come a long way, you guys. Man alive. Should all take a page out of the book of Gessner. But I digress. Back to the point of our story. It wasn't just, you know, that fact of the zone I learned. I learned a lot of, you know, really interesting things about dirt bikers and motorcycle riders in general. It's not just a psychological dynamic of dirt bikers. It's a psychological dynamic of what motorcycling does to the human psyche. And it's one of the only things you can do that does that. And I thought that was pretty damn cool. So I read up on it quite a bit. And me and Johnny were just talking about it on the drive up here because, you know, got an hour to kill, so have a wee bit of a chat. So one of the commonalities between all of us motorcyclists and enthusiasts abroad that ride fairly frequently is we use it as a way to clear our minds, which is important for mental health. I've said that for years. Motorcycles are good for your health. Of course, every once in a while it's, you know, not good for your physical health because sometimes shit happens, but it's part of the course. But if I'm ever stressed out or unhappy or something else is going on in the world that I'm not liking, I come out here or do any type of riding whatsoever. I just prefer this to most. When I'm done, all is right with the world. And I know a lot of you guys and gals out there experience that same thing. I said in last week's episode, this is a life necessity of therapy. And it is for that reason we keep doing this. So there is a reason behind it. It's not just me wanting to come out here and dick off. It's what I choose to do with my life. This is my stress relief. This is the thing that makes me happy. And when you find that, you stick with it, because it's very, very good for your brain. Man, we're getting this rocket ship. And you'll hear a lot of motorcyclists talk about, you know, this very same thing where, you know, a guy will grab his gear and go out to his garage and he'll say, man, I gotta just go for a ride and clear my head. It's not just an excuse thing. It's physical, it's psychological, it's neurochemical. It's a real thing. And it's good for you. So go get on your bike and ride when you need to. Because there is a difference, I've found, between wanting to ride and needing to ride. And they both happen. And it's good to recognize and understand that when it does. As much as we spend on this, it's probably still cheaper than a shrink, I suppose. Whew. Wait for Mr. Gessner here. So I usually try to bounce a lot of stuff off old Johnny Boy up here, even though he's a young kid. But he's really in tune with himself, and he thinks a lot, which I appreciate about him, because most kids his age just kind of walking around going, kind of like that. That's their native language of their people these days. And in talking to him, he was telling me the differences of what he goes through psychologically the day before we start riding or the morning of, relative to when we were racing Superbike and his dad was his crew chief. Well, we got a little climb here. And the processes they would go through are vastly different than the process we go through every morning to get ready to go. And he had to kind of compensate and cope with that a little bit. Whew. But he got over it pretty quick. I told him not to take it too seriously. And just so you know, the name of that hill we just climbed is called Elephant Dung. And one early spring, or early summer rather, when it was still wet, boy, I found out why. It is like greasy poo coming up that thing. It's damn near impossible. The next hill we're going to come to here in a little bit is called Aardvark. I don't know why, but it's a fun one. Trying to give Johnny some space here is pretty silty and dusty. I'll give him a minute. Ah, good stuff. Plug her low and catch a grip. So, back to our topic of discussion for today. I read up on a lot of, other athletes' opinions, essentially, not just motorcycle riders. You know, a couple runners, a couple swimmers, just kind of get their whole take on sports psychology and transient hypo-frontality, how different people experience it differently. And a lot of people kind of said the same thing. It's, you know, you got to let your subconscious take over and just breathe and go with it. Because if you don't, you'll think about it too much. And it's your open conscious that has a tendency to do you wrong, not necessarily your subconscious. Your subconscious taking over is usually the best form of action, which is about, I would say, it's stage 1 stress level, you know. Heightened senses, dilated pupils, you kind of find your zone. And that's a good thing. Keeps you from panicking or overthinking stuff. dust on the GoPro, but my eyeballs have a very different view. That's why it's nice if it rains the day before. You know, it doesn't necessarily make it slippery out here, but it holds this dust down, and that's usually the best time to do this trail. And if you'll notice, Mr. Gessner is on a different machine. He decided he had enough of that four-stroke and went and got himself a 2015 Husqvarna TE300. So he's only got about, I don't know, 20-25 miles in the seat so far, so he's still getting used to it. But I have a feeling that as soon as he gets the feel for that thing, we're not going to see a whole lot of him anymore. I had trouble keeping up with him when he was on that old 450. Maybe I'm just getting old and slow. Hard to say. So in short, there is a direct relation between, you know, finding your zone in the sport you love to do or the activity or hobby you love to do. Oh no. Which I have not seemed to find today so far. False neutral. Alright, give it a large barking shot here. The only downside of this Jeep trail is the Jeep ruts. You got your front tire in one and your rear in the other, and it's hard to get out of it when it's hard packed and dusty like this. Kind of makes like tiny little ball bearings underneath you. There we go. Another thing about, you know, coming out here and doing this sport, especially when you're going out in the wilderness and doing it, you know, when you're riding road bikes, you know, you're in theory still in public, you know, so you're gonna have advantages of, you know, services, gas stations, emergency things in case the worst happens. But when you're planning to, you know, do rides like this, not that you need to overthink it or anything, but it's good to be, you know, psychologically prepared for the whole thing. You don't want to get all pumped up about it, you know, when you're in your garage loading up or getting things ready. That's the time to, you know, kind of have your overall wits and awareness about you. And, you know, okay, do I have this? Do I got my tools? Do I have water? Do I have enough fuel? Do I need to bring fuel? You know, and kind of have a mental checklist. And if you're kind of all pumped up and you got the old adrenal glands going, it's a little harder to do that. So there is a time for it and a time for not. We all go through the same thing. I mean, that's kind of why I wanted to talk about the psychology of dirt biking, is because, you know, we experience, between all of us, you guys, relatively the same things. And it's cool that we do that, you know, even though we're all very, very different people, we can talk about it because we can't relate. Short of that, I'm actually gonna take a little breather on the topic. I'm gonna fast forward because we want to get you all the way to the lake today, folks. So we will see you about a mile before we get there. In 3, 2, 1, lake. Whew. Okay, welcome back, everybody. It's like a half a second for you and like 2 hours for us. And we are just about to go to this nice little lake here. So here we go. And again, thanks everybody for, you know, tagging along with us on all this stuff. It it really means the world to us that you guys have been watching these videos and subscribing. I think to date, if I'm not mistaken, we've got 119 subscribers. So this whole thing is going to keep going thanks to you guys. And I just wanted to take a quick second and thank everybody out there. My friends, my family that subscribes, all you people out there I don't know, but are enduro and motorcycle aficionados and enthusiasts and what have you. You know, this whole thing's about you guys. It's not really about me or about us. We're just making it. You know, we wanted to create this whole thing to maybe show you somewhere you've never been before, or again, have a little bit of conversation and talk about something. And I just kind of wanted to, you know, make another point to stop and let you guys know that I have not taken that for granted, and I very, very much appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And we're having a lot of fun doing this. And a little secret, but shh, don't tell anybody. We have figured out a way to add communications to this whole thing. And very, very soon, there will be a second voice of Enduro Radio. And we're pretty darn excited about it. My braining worked very well in this regard and researching how to do it. Gonna cost a little money, yeah. Par for the course. You guys are worth it. This is worth it. So we're gonna get that done in the next few weeks and have that up and running before, well before the season's over, of course. And I just kind of wanted to give you a little hint that that was coming. I wasn't gonna say anything. I kind of wanted it to be a surprise, but you know, this whole thing, we're 10 episodes deep now, and it's kind of just been me incessantly talking. So we're going to change that up a little bit, maybe add some perspective to the whole thing, because there needs to be more perspective. This isn't just, you know, going to be about my entire point of view on everything I talk about. So that's going to change very soon. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And I hope, you know, maybe you learned something, or you kind of went, oh yeah, that does happen to me. Because as different as we all are in the things that make us unique, we are actually all quite the same in that regard. And having said that, I would like to welcome everybody to the beautiful and serene and very peaceful Manastash Lake. And I think we're going to take a few minutes and maybe take our boots off and put our feet in the water. What do you say, Johnny? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's real enthused about it, as you can all tell. So as always, everybody, take care of yourselves out there, and damn it, take care of each other. We'll see you next week. Cheers.